and welcome back to Let's Play Mother, aka Earthbound Beginnings. Last time, we had quite the fruitful start to our adventure. We got attacked by a poltergeist, got magical melodies, and learned that there is a missing girl in the cemetery that perhaps we'd do well to find. Who knows what that might open up for us. Now, I actually changed my mind slightly from something from the end of the last video. I was just gonna strike out for the cemetery without any more training, but I got pretty bad level ups up to this point, so I figured I should just get a little bit more money so I can afford a wooden bat that is literally 4 times the attack power of the plastic bat, allowing us to deal significantly more damage to any enemy that we come across. So let's also, on our way out here at the service desk, we can return our old plastic bat. Even though we didn't buy it from here, they will still gladly buy it. $40 for free. You know what? I'll take it. Anyway, let's get moving on to the cemetery. That is actually something that's kind of important for me to go over. There is quite a bit of variance in how your level ups can go in Mother. You do have a range of stats you can get. Every character, in fact, has a specific range of stats you can get. Hello, good sir. What do you got to say to me? Zombie! Oh, what? Whoa! Yes! There are, in fact, NPCs that can attack you. This NPC was a zombie. In fact, a pseudo-zombie, to be more specific. Pseudo-zombies are kind of funny to me because their right hands look more like they just have, like, a foot where their hand should be. Anyways, with the wooden bat, we can defeat this guy in as little as 2 attacks, which is good, because as you can see, this guy hits fairly hard. But with the wooden bat, and of course our accumulated experience, we take him down no problem. But yeah, I got pretty poor level up, so I have less psychic points than I'd really like to have. If I had about 24 psychic points, I'd be totally fine with just striking out and making our way to the cemetery. It would be very unlikely that I would actually die along the way. Are you really going to the cemetery? Yes, I am, good sir. I thought you were a sensible child. Nope, not an ounce of sense in my head. But, haha, you shall become a zombie. And indeed, we've got another zombie here. You don't actually have to talk to these guys, but they are worth 8 experience points to take down. Note that the pseudo-zombies will also be in the random encounter pool for the next area that we go to. Pseudo-zombies are worth pretty low money, though. If you're more interested in just gaining money, these guys aren't really worth your time to fight. There we go. So, while we're traveling along, we may as well talk about stats and level ups. If you remember last time, I went over how our base offense was determined, as well as what the fight stat did, which, if you forgot, the base fight stat, that is just our fight stat that we get from level ups and nothing else, determines our base offense stat. Then our final offense stat combines with the offense statistic of our weapon to determine, well, our attack power. Fight itself, determines your chance to deal out smash attacks and your chance to receive smash attacks. Moving on from that, there is the speed stat. Now, the obvious thing that the speed stat does is that it determines who goes first in battle. The higher your speed, the more likely you are to go first. There's a bit of randomness, but not too much, and once you have sufficient speed, you will always go before the enemy. The less obvious thing that the speed stat does is that it is actually the basis for your defense stat. It is 1-to-1 with your base defense stat. There are armor that will add on to your defense stat, but your speed also determines your defense. So it is a very powerful and important stat. Obviously, going first is important, and not only will we be going first, we'll be taking less damage if and when the enemy gets to go. So that is just makes it one of the best stats in the game by far. And Ninten is very fast, so that's one of the big advantages we have with him. This is a healer's house. We can talk to our dad here to update our save, and he will tell us about the money that we just completely depleted from our bank account. So yeah, only $86 left to work with in the bank account, and we'll get our experience totals. Hey, we're actually pretty close to another level up. Let's update our save here. Remember that you respawn at the last phone that you use, so heaven forbid, but if we get killed in the cemetery, having saved at this phone will allow us to warp back here. Also note that, well, this is the healer's house. We've got a healer. Believe it or not, I am a healer. Well, I will believe. I can charge your Pippi, and I can cure your stone illness. So yes, the healer can refresh us to restore our psychic points, or he can soften us to cure petrification. Note that because Ninten is alone, if he even could be petrified, because there's nothing at this stage of the game that even will attempt to petrify you, but if he would be petrified, it's the same as being dead. So this service, not very useful to us at all at this moment, and for the entire game, it actually is not very useful at all. There are very, very few enemies in the game that actually petrify you, and the few that do exist, they are located in areas that are so distant from a healer's house, and you fight them at a point where you'd have the ability to cure your petrification yourself. So we may as well just ask him for a quick top off for our psychic points. He will charge $18 for the service. There you have it. I fixed it like a true expert. Thank you, my good man. Let's continue on here. As we travel along, we may as well go over another statistic, our wisdom stat. Now, wisdom actually does not do too much. What wisdom determines is, oh, hey, we're actually in the new enemy encounter zone, and we've got gang zombies. These guys are a little bit more durable than the pseudo-zombies, and they pay out just a bit more experience and considerably more money. I think they're worth like $35 a pop, so they are pretty good to take down. When you fall below 20 HP, that's always a good idea to use a life up spell there. Remember that the enemy can land smash attacks at any moment, and that could be very detrimental to us. As you can see, if I didn't have the wooden bat, I would be taking a much harsher beating from this guy and draining through a lot more of my psychic points. So let's get another life up going. Hopefully I'll have enough HP and psychic points to work through the next area here. Here we've got a ghost. This is a fairly weak enemy, not too liable to deal any big damage to us. Yeah, he's half what the gang zombie was doing on average. Ooh, smash attacks make things a little bit more perilous. They also have a chance to run away. There are enemies that can run away. Now, going back over our wisdom stat, as we are getting a level up anyway, your wisdom stat, all that does is determine your success rate with status ailments, whether it be through PSI or I believe a handful of items that can inflict them. For the most part, ooh, hey, that was actually a pretty generous amount of psychic points there. For the most part, there's not too much ailment PSI that's worth using in this game. I can think of one time where I might use hypnosis as a fringe option, but I don't really consider ailment PSI to really be that worth using. Note that ailment PSI also encompasses debuffs, so it is possible, once we get a debuff like defense down, also, we're getting pretty bad luck with the encounters. That's multiple gang zombies already. But a status altering PSI, or rather status debuffing PSI, like defense down, that can potentially fail if you have inadequate wisdom. Now, I'm not exactly sure how ailment resistances work in this game. I do know that there are some enemy classes that are just flatly immune to certain ailment types. No matter how hard you try, you will never be able to inflict them with particular ailments. But I don't know if just in general, if enemies have flat resistances to specific ailment types, or if they do have some kind of hidden force stat that force or strength stat that determines their resistances. I'll get into what I mean in a little bit. Once we enter the cemetery, we cannot encounter any more enemies for a brief bit, and we get some new music. Any point around the church is actually a safe zone. You will not encounter any enemies. Let's go in and see if we can't chat up the priest here. I'd like to stop the zombies' evil ways, but they do not listen to me, or won't even talk to me. Now I'm too scared to leave this place. Hell, I mean, the immediate vicinity seems to be warding them off. So let's make our way through the cemetery. Where we need to go is we need to wrap around these trees and we will find an open tomb. Here we've got some Mr. Bats here. These are very weak enemies, and if we didn't have the wooden bat, we wouldn't be able to take them out in one shot, but because we do, we can take them out quite easily. They can only deal about 1 damage to Niten if he's adequately leveled, and half the time, they will think about the circumstances and end up confusing themselves. When they are confused, they have a chance to just attack each other, so always focus on attacking the ones that are not already confused. It's just the most efficient way to go about it, because the ones that are confused, not too likely to attack you anyway. If you're lucky, they may even take themselves out if the fight goes on long enough. Now, on to the next stat is the strength stat, and strength is sort of like the vitality stat from Earthbound, though not quite. The strength stat, the first thing it does as far as like direct mechanical benefits it has is that it determines your resistance to physical ailments. This is 3 types of ailments, that is petrification, poison, and paralysis. Your strength stat compares against the enemy's wisdom stat, and if you have sufficiently more strength than an enemy that's trying to inflict you with any of those ailments, you will more than likely resist it. I believe the enemy always has a small chance of hitting you with an ailment, but as your strength gets higher and higher, they're going to be less and less likely to succeed, to the point where it's almost guaranteed that they will fail. The second thing that the strength stat does is that it actually gives you additional HP. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how this works, but I believe the way it works, based on my own observations, every time you get 5 points of strength cumulatively, the next level up you get, so you won't get this applied the level up you pass 5 strength points acquired, but the next level up you'll get between 8 and 10 additional hit points. As far as the amount of HP you get per level, that seems to be in a range of 0 to 6, with the game slightly favoring lower HP values paid out. We haven't actually ran into any pseudo-zombies yet in the Sematary, which is pretty surprising to me. But yeah, strength, pretty good stat, because obviously the more HP you have, the more likely you are to just weather the storm. And raw HP is actually pretty important, because smash attacks pierce through your defenses. So having a good supply of HP makes sure that you don't get taken down too badly. The next and final stat is the force stat. Force is the PSI equivalent to strength. Like strength, it determines your defense against certain ailments, specifically mental ailments. This includes, hey, pseudo-zombie, been looking for you. This includes sleep, this includes confusion, and, oh man, what's the other one that is blanking on me? I know there's one more mental ailment. Man. Well, sleep and confusion are the ones you're most likely to come across anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. I know there's another one it protects against, but it's escaping me. But force, same as strength. Once you get 5 points of force, you can also expect to get a good amount of psychic points, usually around 10, the next level up you get. So yeah, that's the base stats there. Now, as for the amount of stats you gain per level up, every character has a range of stats they can get. For Ninten, for his core statistics that are not, not his HP and psychic points, he will gain between 2 and 3 points in every stat. This does mean that he can be variably weak or strong, depending on how lucky you are with your levels, depending on if, you get a ton of 3 levels or if you get a ton of 2 levels. But because he's always gaining points, and it's just a 50-50 coin flip, law of averages tends to favor you, and Ninten is a pretty consistently good character in all areas. He's usually pretty resistant to all ailments. He's one of the fastest characters in the game, and that's actually very important because he has a very, very useful psychic power we'll learn later that really, really benefits from him going fast. As far as I know, there isn't anything like in Earthbound where characters gain variable amounts of HP from stuff like Vitality and IQ. In fact, everybody seems to have the same potential rolls for their HP and PP stats, unless they do not get PP at all. Then, obviously, there's not really, you can't really expect them to roll much there. I do think it's kind of an interesting contrast to Ness in Earthbound with Ninten here, because Ness is the slowest character in Earthbound by a pretty considerable margin. Not until you get his final big stat boost at the end of the game can you really consider him fast, and even then, if you level up enough, it's possible for other characters to overtake him. Now, we have 4 coffins here. One of them contains what we're looking for. Which one is it? Well, lucky for you, I know which coffin has what we're looking for. If you check an incorrect coffin, you can expect to face off against a pseudo-zombie. Ninten pried up the lid. Out from the casket? Well, hello there. Hi, I'm Pippi, and I'm lost, to say the least. What a brave boy you are to have found me. I just got lucky. You are brave. I hope we can meet again sometime. Sure, I'm so happy. To show my gratitude, take my gift. This shiny badge will guard you. Keep it. Now, let's go back to town. She didn't say exactly what she gave us, but the item that Pippi slipped into our inventory is the Franklin badge. Ninten, please go first. I'm so afraid. Hey, no worries, Pippi. Check this trick out here. You see those breadcrumbs I've been dropping? Ninten returned to the head of the trail by following the crumbs that had been dropped. Yeah, remember when I placed those in the previous video? Well, we were just able to warp out, and now we've got Pippi in tow. But the Franklin badge that she gave us, if you act too overconfident, she won't give it to you right now, but you do have an opportunity to obtain it from her later if you fail to get it in the initial discussion with her. The Franklin badge protects you against the spell PK Beam Gamma. This is the only spell that it protects you against. It's not like the Franklin Badge from Earthbound that protects you against all electrical spells. It just protects you against PK Beam Gamma, but that is more useful than it sounds, because PK Beam Gamma is a 100% chance insta-kill against you. So having the Franklin Badge in tow to reflect that back at the enemy is very useful. Now, some of the enemies that will attempt to use PK Beam Gamma on you are annoyingly immune to it, so the reflection effect isn't always useful, but it is useful against some enemies, and obviously just being able to avoid getting killed by PK Beam Gamma is so important. Now, remember, Pippi is not just an escort here, she is a bona fide party member, and as you can see, she's a little lacking in wisdom and force compared to Ninten when he was starting out, but her stats are surprisingly good. And indeed, Pippi, as she level ups, not only does she level up a lot faster than Ninten, she takes about, I'd say, like, she levels up about 33% faster or so, but her stat ranges for, like, strength, speed, and fight, she gets between 4 and 5 stat points per level up. So we're supposed to return Pippi to the mayor right now, but there's actually something we can do with her. We can keep her on deck for a little while, conscript her in this little war of ours, and have her help out with our own training. She will rapidly increase in power and allow us to take on tougher foes with little issues. Now, one thing to note about having multiple party members in Earthbound Beginnings is that EXP is split between multiple party members, so we will not be getting the same amount of experience we were getting before. Like, previously these hippies gave us 6 experience, now they just give us 3. Now, one thing we can check out is what if we went back to... Actually, I'm not actually sure what happens in that case, so why don't we go back home first? Just let our mom know that we've been able to bring a girl home with us, and also we need some pizza. But yes, we can have Pippi help us with some training, and it's debatable if whether or not this is actually faster than just training on your own, because of course the experience we're getting is halved, and I hate to break this to you, but Pippi is not a permanent party member. She will eventually go her separate ways, and in fact she can leave your party really quickly. But it is a lot safer to train with Pippi in tow, so we will just take advantage of that. And there is an area where we can square off against much more dangerous, but also much more profitable enemies. Now, I think you can buy a slingshot for Pippi to give her a little bit more attack power, but she gets so many stat points from leveling up, it isn't really necessary to spend that much money for just a little bit of extra attack power for her. So, what we're going to do here is make our way up towards the zoo in the north. We can't actually access it until we return Pippi to the mayor. But we can actually fight the enemies in the zoo, and the zoo enemies are both tougher than things we've been fighting, and there you go, check out those stat points. Pippi doesn't get much in the way of wisdom and force, but that hardly matters to us. Hey, free magic herb from the snake there. The magic herb is essentially a item-based PK life up. And there we go, take out the hippie there. But yeah, we are going to make our way towards the zoo. I will take a slight detour along the way just to check out something that is off to the side, and I'm not going to show you, bore you with the details of every encounter that we're going through. So, let's make our way north. Once we hit a fork in the road, the zoo will be to the west, but we're going to take a brief detour and actually go east. You may remember that when we were trying to cross the bridge to Marysville, the cops wouldn't let us through, but they said we might have better luck with the guys by the zoo. Also, Ninten got a new PSI power-up in that previous battle, Defense Up Alpha. Defense Up Alpha gives a pretty considerable boost to your defense stat, as it probably stands to reason. It's about a 90% boost, so it is pretty significant. But defense isn't weighted quite as heavily as offense in battle damage calculations, so it's less useful than you might expect. It doesn't actually do that much against enemies that are already dealing significant damage. It's more against enemies that are just dealing kind of middling damage, but enough to chip you down. Defense up will often reduce them just to dealing 1 damage. If you're getting hit by something that's dealing like 50 damage, defense up actually does surprisingly little to abate that. Anyways, making our way over to this series of bridges here, we will find yet another set of cops posted, blocking the way. Proclamation by the town mayor says, "No one may pass until the zoo case is solved." A real one-way attitude, if you ask me. I don't have to like it, just enforce it. To be lawful or to follow your own morals. A age-old dilemma. I wish I could speak English properly, especially when I'm about to go into a transition from a battle. Alright, we've actually reached the zoo now. Just check this, sign here, and you can see 700 meters to the west. We will continue along. Hey, this is America using meters. Just so, that's a serious faux pas right there. But once you see the zoo fence, you can start running into zoo enemies. Here we've got hyenas. These guys are essentially more durable bats. They have 30 HP instead of I think it was like 18 HP the bats have. And they can also run away. They are also more prone to just wasting their actions. Actually, we get to see something important here. I had Pippi and Neaton queue up on the same enemy there. As you can see, since the enemy die, since this is an old school RPG, if you have your party member queued up to an attack enemy that's not there anymore, they are not going to redirect. They will, in fact, waste their action. A little bit frustrating, but hey, just something you got to adjust to and be mindful of. Always make sure you have a good grasp of the kind of damage rolls your party members can expect to get. Now, like the bats, well, actually not like the bats and more like the ghosts, hyenas can run away, potentially. And if one hyena succeeds in running away, all of them succeed in running away simultaneously. So that denies you quite a bit of experience if you weren't able to kill all of them, or it could deny you all the experience you get, period. This is the enemy you want to see, the elephant. The elephant gives tons of experience, and despite what you might expect, they're actually not that threatening. Yeah, see, 11 damage? That's a little scary, but not the roughest in the world. Once Pippi gains a few more levels, she will be able to, just chew through these guys pretty quickly. And she's more than likely going to get a level up from this elephant encounter, because, again, these guys give about 60 experience. Admittedly, that's going to be halved to about 30 because of the fact that we have Pippi along, but still, it is a pretty considerable amount of experience. I'm surprised the elephant is able to dodge swiftly. But yeah, look at this experience we get. Heck yeah! Beautiful stuff. So what I'm going to do now is, of course, I'm going to finish my training. I just want to get Niten to level 8, really. That should be more than adequate for going through the zoo. And I'll show off any new enemies that I encounter along the way. But why don't we also take a sidelong look at some stuff that is exclusive to the Famicom version of Mother while we're at it, right? So here's a pretty understandable bit of censorship, actually. As you can see, the gang zombie in the Famicom version has a serious case of gut shot. This guy got eviscerated on the streets. The Tommy gun was not kind to him. This was determined to be way too violent. Honestly, I kind of feel like it's too violent for a children's game in Japan, also, so it's a pretty funny little detail, honestly. Past that, oh wow, I already forgot that I'm in the Japanese version, so I can't actually run. Past that, there aren't any enemies that are different or look different in the Japanese version. There we go, I got lucky with my runaways though. But one thing that is actually different about the cemetery area is the aesthetics of the cemetery itself. You may remember that on these graves, they were more like a gamma symbol than the actual cross. These crosses were more like just pillars with angel wings on them. The church itself didn't have a cross at the top. All cross imagery and overtly Christian imagery, really, got excised from the English version of the game, just to keep the game as religiously, I guess, agnostic or non-theist as possible, just to avoid the potential of anybody being offended by it, I suppose. Very, very common thing for NES games and Super Nintendo games. Just a little bit of interesting aesthetic diversion there. Back to the grind in Earthbound Beginnings. Another enemy we can potentially encounter around the zoo is alligators, and alligators are actually very dangerous. They can potentially close the distance between you, which will be signified by the game simply saying the alligator move closer. And when they do that, they gain about a huge attack power buff. They deal about 20 extra damage, so these guys are very, very dangerous if you get unlucky. Run into two of them and they both decide to get close to you. You better hope you can kill them quickly before they just quite literally chew through all your HP. Another level up for Pippi, another 5 offense. So good for her, so good. I've actually finished up my grinding, but while I was leaving the zoo, I ran into one of the most dangerous enemies possible you could encounter at the zoo, the tiger. This guy has a very, very, dangerous property to him. As you can see there, he can perform continuous attacks that allows him to deal double damage to you, essentially. He could potentially whiff some of those attacks, but yeah, this guy can burn through your HP pretty quickly. If he actually opts to bite you, funnily enough, that is the much less threatening thing he can do, because that he can't score a continuous attack off of that. Tigers, very dangerous. Be wary of them. They may actually be worth using Defense Up Alpha against. Taking an opportunity to go back home to heal up real quick, and you can actually talk to Pippi's mother, but... Oh, my little Pippi, you're back and safe! Thank you for finding her, Ninten. By the way, the town mayor is waiting for you. Pippi, go with Ninten and help straighten this out. So yes, we do get to keep Pippi after talking to her mother. We do actually need to take Pippi to the mayor in order to advance the plot, which we will be doing momentarily. And with our opportunistic utilization of Pippi's abilities completed, we are ready to return her to City Hall. Note that, look at Pippi's power here. She's almost hitting with her bare hands for the same level of damage that Ninten is hitting with the wooden bat. One more level up and she would be surpassing him. Pippi is actually based off the literary character Pippi Longstocking, in case you were unaware of the reference they were going for there. The literary character has a long and storied history, but she is most famous for her braided pigtails and also her superhuman strength. So you can see why Pippi in this game is the way she is. Anyways, Mr. Mayor, I have acquired the girl. Is she the lost girl, Pippi? Well, that's just great. I knew that you could fulfill your civic duty. Applause, applause. Now, pretty Pippi, don't forget to tell your mom that the mayor saved you. I've already blown that one open, dude. Here, I will give Ninten a prize of $100. Nice! By the way, hero, maybe you'd like to go see what's at the zoo. I actually would. Yes, you'll go? Great, great, great. Now, make sure to get a key from my assistant Abbott. Okay, well, let's talk to Pippi next. Now it's time to say goodbye. Please come by my house. I'll be waiting there to see you again. By the way, do you think my hair needs styling? Oh, it looks just fine, Pippi. You didn't have to answer, cutie. And yes, Pippi is gone permanently. Never get her back, which, probably for the best, as she would kind of break the game's difficulty wide open if we got to keep her. Or even worse, they'd have to balance the game around her. Return her to me alive and surely... Oh, yeah, you seem to be stuck on an earlier page of the script, Mr. Mayor. Anyways, let's talk to Abbott here. This key will open the zoo's gate. Now don't lose it. And indeed, just talk to him, you get the zoo key. How nice, how nice. Lady, you got anything to say? I'll share the secret with you later. I do not know if she ever actually shares the secret for you. Conveniently, the mayor's office is located next to the burger shop, and we are actually going to make use of that cash prize there to get a few hamburgers. This will allow us to do a little bit of healing without having to spend any of our psychic points. May as well take the opportunity to just fill out our inventory with these. For reasons that I'm not concerned about the key taking up my inventory slot. Unlike the previous key we got, we don't have to worry about that sticking around. Now, one thing to do before we head to the zoo. As soon as you leave the mayor's office, you'll find Pippi posted back at her home. I've heard about your wonderful adventures. You are so brave, aren't you? It's not that big a deal. You're brave. I hope we can meet again sometime. For sure, for sure. Anyways, if you failed to get the Franklin badge earlier, by picking the correct dialogue choices there, you can get it now, and as far as I'm aware, you can just repeat the conversation, you can just, repeat the conversation, endlessly, and just, get the Franklin badge, no matter what. You got anything new to say? I want to thank you again for your help. Pippi is fine now. Indeed, indeed. Now, because I've already shown the way to the zoo, I will spare you the details of a return trip. And we're back in the vicinity of the zoo. I got attacked by a gator, then a tiger, so I already have to use up one of my healing items. May as well make use of this free magic herb I got. We've had so much going on, I haven't really managed to comment on something you probably noticed at the start of this video, but the music actually does change when you have party members. If Ninten is by his lonesome, you get the upbeat and jovial Pollyanna. And if you have any allies on your party, you will instead get the slightly more determined Bein' Friends. Both very good world map themes. I like them a lot. Anyways, if I could avoid getting mauled by hyenas, once you reach the zoo gate, you'll find a monkey waiting for you. This guy is always here, but if you approach him when you have the zoo key, the monkey stole it! Hey, get back here! The lock was broken anyway. Ninten opened the door. Well, that was convenient. Suppose it makes sense. I mean, we did see him go through it, although maybe it just has narrow bars. Anyways, inside the zoo, as you'd expect, there's a variety of animals, and not all of them are berserk. We got our little bunnies over here. Donkey Kong! Yes, we can run into gorillas. These guys are actually a pretty unremarkable enemy, truth be told. The only thing that's really notable about them is that they vaguely resemble Donkey Kong. Of course, if they get a smash attack against you, that makes them a fair deal more threatening. Otherwise, though, not anything I'm particularly worried about. I'm going to use another hamburger, or not another hamburger, use up a hamburger, only used up a magic herb previously, to heal off my wounds. We're getting a ton of experience from the animals in here now that Pippi is not in tow, dividing the experience. As you can see, we got a nice monkey enclosure over there, and we've got the elephant here. We can pretty safely auto-battle this guy at this point, but do want you to pay close attention to the amount of experience we get from defeating this guy, as he is basically an EXP pinata for us at this stage. Now, 8 is an adequate level to get through this area, and the reason that that's fine is because 9 is about the ideal, but once you get to level 8, the enemies give you so much experience here, you'll probably quickly reach level 9 anyway, as we did there. Get a little bit more fight. Ooh, nice. I especially love any level up where I get 3 speed, because remember, 3 speed means 3 defense. Also getting a good amount of HP and psychic points there. We passed a strength and force threshold to get a pretty good boost. Admittedly slightly on the low end, but still not that bad. Panda. Everybody loves pandas. Pandaing to the audience. Donkey Kong is no match for the power of the wooden bat. He's just not holding out well. Nothing like repeatedly missing attacks and taking a ton of damage because of it. As far as I know, none of your stats actually influence accuracy or anything. You just have a random chance of missing attacks here. Hey, another elephant. Now, we haven't actually seen it, but there is actually one enemy in the zoo area that just kind of completely wastes your time if you happen to run into it, and that is flies. Flies, if you encounter them, are the first enemy you can come across that can potentially call in reinforcements, and they are also completely not worth the time to fight if they do start calling in reinforcements, because they only give 1 experience point and $1 if you take them down. Admittedly, they only have 1 hit point, so you're liable to take them down on the first swing that connects, but if you are unlucky, hey, flamingos, very nice. What's the sign? One of a kind. See the amazing singing monkey. Doesn't seem to be any singing monkey around, but perhaps if we swing back later, we'll have a chance to hear a new melody. Not necessarily a melody we need, but a melody nonetheless. Also, man, nothing is worse than missing an attack against a tiger. Hey, what's one more elephant-induced level up for the road? Ooh, nice. Another 3 speed and 3 fight. We've been getting some pretty good level ups. I had pretty bad luck early on, but we seem to be getting quite a good amount now. Let's check the sign here. The City Zoo Superintendent's Office. Fortunately, once you reach this point, you're kind of home free, as the enemies in here are quite weak and not liable to chew through your HP or your psychic points. We want to head to the top floor right away, but we will swing by this room here. Ah, hey, you can encounter... Oh, God. You can encounter flies here. You know what? I'm not even gonna bother. Oh, hey, they also try to run away. You know what? Thank you. Saves me the trouble of having to waste time on these guys. But otherwise, you run into stuff like centipedes and mice in here, or rats, rather. They're not really worth your time to fight either at this point. Inside this present box, we can find rope. Rope is an interesting item. Let's take a look at that. If you use it to tie up you can use it in battle to tie up the enemy. The bondage status inflicted by rope exists outside the normal kind of ailment calculation, and it isn't something that, if it's used against you, you can really defend against. I'm not exactly sure what the exact odds of it landing are, but it usually works, and once an enemy is bound in rope, they have a 50-50 chance of escaping from their bonds, so it is unfortunately possible for an enemy to escape from... Hey! That's I was hoping we'd see that at some point. We got a PSI power from running away. It is possible for an enemy to escape from their bondage. Defense down alpha. Not as good as defense up alpha, I'm afraid. It is possible for an enemy to escape from their bonds as soon as you tie them up, though that still buys you a free turn, even if it does happen. Admittedly, that's a bit more helpful when you actually have party members to capitalize on it. And man, what is that droning noise? Hey, this capsule. Suddenly from inside of the capsule. Oh no! Starman Jr. draws near! Yes, this is our first Starman encounter. Starman is, of course, a signature enemy for the Mother series. It's just so iconic, really. You may recognize him from the cover of Earthbound in America, as a point in fact. Now, we are going to use that rope we got on him immediately. used the rope, and Starman Jr. was bound with rope. He is bound tightly. That means he has not escaped his bonds. He's still bound tightly. A bit unfortunate that we missed our attack there. Starman Jr. has 52 hit points, so if we can get in these free attacks here... Oh, man, that's actually really good luck. Sometimes he just escapes immediately on me. Man, you don't usually get that lucky with the bound rope, but he is pretty dangerous. He hits for about 20 HP of damage with his physical attacks, and he also has PK Beam Alpha, which hits for a range of about 25 to 30 damage. With Starman Jr. defeated, the odd sound that drove the animals insane died down. The zoo once more became a safe place. Now, if the rope doesn't work against him, or if he escapes it early, just cast Defense Up Alpha, because he's in that middling damage range where Defense Up Alpha will stuff most of the damage that he deals to you with physical attacks, and always counter his beam spells with a Life Up spell. In fact, it probably should use Life Up twice in a row if he decides to use Beam, just to make sure you have as much health as possible. Now, most of the presents in here aren't particularly useful, but there is a Life Up Cream. Life Up Cream restores your HP to full. Regardless of how damaged you are and how high your max HP is, Life Up Cream will give you a full health restore. The rest of the items in here aren't really worth picking up, so I'm not going to bother. The Life Up Cream, on the other hand, a nice little get. Now, once you have defeated the Starman Jr., first off, the droning noise driving the animals crazy, that means once it's gone, no encounters in the zoo. You can leave completely uncontested. But also, the Singing Monkey returns. The Singing Monkey sang with passion. Niten remembered the tune. And yes, we've got our third melody. This is a worthwhile trip. Now, one thing I'd like to go over, we're just going to move on to the next point of interest for progressing the plot, but if you are playing the Famicom version of Mother, which you probably are not, but for the sake of argument, let's say you are, first off, before you go to the zoo, be sure to buy another piece of bread and just leave some breadcrumbs in Podunk, or rather, Mother's Day as it's called in the Famicom version, to warp yourself back there, and be sure to withdraw all your money before continuing with the plot. This isn't necessary to do in Earthbound Beginnings, but in Mother, you are not going to have an opportunity to get your money for quite some time if you go to the next plot area, so be sure to grab all of it before you head out. We don't need to do that in Earthbound Beginnings, because where we're going, we will be able to get our money in this version, and there is some very, very useful items we'll be able to buy very soon. I kind of feel bad for the hippies at this point. We just obliterate them with a single swing. The encounter pool changes slightly once you start making your way towards this bridge section, and unfortunately now we can run into 2 centipedes, which is not my idea of a good time, but it is what it is. Continuing over to the bridge, as soon as you clear the situation in the zoo, talk to the cops here. The curfew has been lifted, although I can't see why travel was ever restricted. I heard that you can communicate with telepathy. Have you heard all of the people talking about you? But you probably don't need to listen to them. I wonder why he said that, though. Perhaps a hint for something coming up? I guess we'll just have to see. Note that only the curfew on this bridge has been lifted. The road to Marysville is still blocked. Hey, a bionic centipede! I can keep my thought continued here because this is a new enemy. Just an upgraded version of a centipede and not really that much more threatening. As you can see, barely scratches Niten, but he is worth quite a bit more experience when you take him down. I believe if you are lucky enough, you can run into 2 bionic centipedes, which is not bad experience. But I generally prefer, when doing my training for the zoo, to actually focus on the enemies by the zoo. These bionic centipedes, they are just kind of speed bumps. Hey, we get to see our first status ailment, though. These guys have sufficient wisdom to poison Ness, I'm thinking of a different game here, Niten, but that is not a big deal, because something we haven't had a chance to use yet is our Healing Alpha PSI power. Healing Alpha neutralizes poison. Note that unlike Earthbound, looping back to it, each iteration of the Healing PSI only cures a specific status ailment. Healing Alpha only cures poison, and any succeeding spell after it does not cure poison. Healing Beta will not cure poison. It has a specific ailment that it cures, so you cannot just consolidate your casting efforts into a single healing spell. Anyway. This cave's a little creepy. Strange. I feel drawn to this rock over here. Let's check it real quick. Wait, a voice is speaking into Ninten's mind. Hey, I wonder if we use our telepathy here. Niten felt this question enter his mind. Who has lost his tail? Finding the entry in great-grandfather's diary, Neaton read out loud. The forgotten one of the ship that sails the cosmos. Whoa! Where the heck are we? Swimming cat. Do you have any, insight for me? I am a swimming cat. Have you heard of a magic candy that gives strength and power to a helpless child? I have not. I see, but you are not helpless, so you don't need it. Well, that did not answer my questions at all. How about you, lady? You're a strange person, but for some reason I like you. Well, this is, very, very disconcerting. What about you? Can you help me out here? I wish I could go into the castle to see Queen Mary. Queen Mary, huh? And you? If you need the benevolent old man, go to Queen Mary's fountain for his help. He will hear your soulful cry and come to help. Soulful cry, remember, soulful cry? These people aren't making any sense. What about, nah, not this guy. We'll talk to that guy in due time, but I'm actually looking for a specific person there. This guy, I mean, with his pink cowboy hat, he seems like he knows what's what. I am the mysterious mimicker. I've transferred $1,900 into your account after the amount you spent. The balance is $1980. What are you talking about? You sound like my dad. Wait, are you mimicking my dad? Are you mimicking a phone call? By the way, do you want to save? I guess. Okay, so we can use this guy in lieu of a phone to save our progress. Just like your mom, you never want to stop. Please don't. It's weird enough when my dad says that. Please don't push yourself so hard. Slam. I wonder if he, like, just said the word slam, or if he actually did his best attempt at making a slam sound effect with his mouth. This is a lot to take in, I'm gonna be honest. When we come back, let's see if we can't figure out where the heck we are. Until next time, though, bye-bye.
I don't dispute the doubts you've outlined, but it's my right to waste your time.